Good evening and welcome. The time is now 7:35. Apologies for being late. I'd like to open the public portion of the August 28th, 2024 Richfield Park Board of Education meeting. Let's begin with a salute to the flag. Mr. Bisig, can you please read the Open Public Meetings Act?
The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of the public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, Richfield Park Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place therefore posted in the Bergen Record, Star Ledger, Municipal Building, Board of Education offices, and district website. Next section is public participation instructions. Public participation will be conducted both in person and virtually through Zoom. All public will be muted throughout the meeting. Public participation comments are limited to 5 minutes. The public will be able to both speak and be seen by the board when participating virtually or telephonically via Zoom. Individuals participating virtually that wish to make comments during the public participation will need to raise their hand by clicking the blue hand icon at the bottom of the Zoom window. Individuals participating by telephone that wish to make comments during the public participation will need to hit *9 on their telephone to raise their hand. The business administrator, board secretary will then unmute individuals one at a time to speak in order that their hand was raised. Now, before we move on with the rest of the meeting, I have to add in a new business resolution. Be it resolved that the Richfield Board of Education approves the notice of final ineligibility for the following student ID numbers: 36004077, 34003195, 31001996, 33002885, 28000030, and 30001538 accordingly.
Thank you, Mr. Bisig. May I please have a roll call?
Mr. Cooney,
Yes.
Ms. Kraft,
Here.
Mr. Feitros, Ms. McNeil.
Here.
Mr. Malul,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Here.
Ms. Schmidt.
Here.
Ms. Velez,
Here.
Ms. Orth,
Here.
President Martinez.
Here, we have a quorum. We have no meeting minutes to approve and no communications from the public. Before we move on to the main course of the meeting, I'd like to thank all of our teachers, aides, drivers, support staff, and administrators, and wish you all a wonderful year. The work you do is, in my opinion, sacred. You take care of our children and often are with them more hours than we do as parents. You help to inspire the most fortunate, and you uplift and protect those of our children with the most obstacles. The coming year is a big one. We, and I mean all of us, have an opportunity to turn the corner on a difficult decade and give our kids, our taxpayers, and our school staff the district we all deserve. This board is here to serve you as you care for our children. I hope you know that your work is seen and appreciated by this community and especially by this board. So again, thank you for what you do and for how well you do it. and good luck this year. We'll move on to subcommittee reports. Trustee Orth, policy.
The policy committee met on August 20th. In attendance were Dr. Vespignani, Ms. Triglia, myself, Dr. Martinez, Mr. Malul, and Ms. Schmidt. The committee key policy updates were reviewed and discussed. The committee plans to move forward with several important policy changes at this meeting. These include updating the board member number and term policy to reflect the number of board members from Little Ferry based on student enrollment. This will not affect the number of representatives on the board for us in particular. Also eliminating the emergency remote public board meeting. It is noteworthy that Zoom participation for board members and the public remains unaffected at this time. Additional updates include revisions to curriculum content, student attendance requirements, the allowance of certified service animals in schools, the staff training for student suicide prevention. The committee also discussed changes to the student attendance policy, particularly the requirement for a doctor's note to excuse illness-related absences. Finally, the committee confirmed the permanent adoption of modified facility rates for vendors as initially approved on a temporary basis in June 2024.
Thank you. Buildings and grounds, Trustee Cooney.
Yes, good evening, everyone. The Buildings and Grounds Committee met on August 19th. In discussion, the high school, the DOAS project, which is the HVAC for the academic wing, was reviewed by the committee, and the final competition of all the interior work, piping, ductwork, et cetera, was set to be completed August 23rd, and the system should be fully functional by tomorrow. Facility, the wellness room and performance center will be completed before the start of the school year, excuse me. All major construction has been completed and just needed to finish painting and last minute sheetrock repairs and drop ceiling. The outdoor classroom cafeteria pad will be completed once the performance center is completed and hopeful for the start of the school year, which is upon us. The front parking circle, additional storm drain and speed bump was covered, and this also will be completed once the performance center is entirely done, and should be September as well. Discussion about classroom spaces, ROD grants, hopefully mid-November to early December 2024, and the discussion of new classroom flooring that needs to be replaced in various building classrooms was discussed. The meeting was adjourned at 5:40, and we do not have a meeting scheduled yet, but that will be coming soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cooney. Home to School Connection, Social Justice, Trustee Rodriguez.
Hi. Okay, the committee met, oh my goodness. I don't have the exact date. The committee was called to order at 11:04 a.m. and concluded at 11:33. There were a couple of items on the agenda. The pre-K update. There is currently a small waiting list, 10 classes in total, 6 in districts, and there's 4 with external providers, 2 at each site. Trustee Velez inquired about the use of the former board office space at Lincoln School. Dr. Vespignani clarified that this space will not be utilized for pre-K, but will be designated for autism classrooms. Lincoln Elementary already had 2 existing pre-K classrooms designed for PSC, preschool disabled. The program is expanding, now including an inclusion teacher for additional support. In August, there was an orientation meeting for families. Trustee Velez asked if board members could attend, and Dr. V confirmed that board members are welcome to do so. The ESSERS 3 evaluation. The state recently assessed 4 of our pre-K classes using the Early Childhood Environmental Rating Scale, and will provide evaluation scores. And that will be reviewed in detail at the next pre-K meeting. I inquired about comparing those scores with previous years, and Dr. V and Mrs. Triglia noted that there are no previous scores for comparison at this time, but the state will provide feedback to guide improvements if needed. Social Justice Initiative. The district is working closely with the Supervisor of World Language and Multilingual Learners, MLs, to utilize funds for adult education classes for ML families. Once Title III funding is approved by the county and reviewed by the state, and the district can move forward. The committee discussed student ambassadors and evaluating the recipients of the National Honor Society and Achievement Awards to ensure equitable representation. Parent guardian event planning. We discussed how Dr. V and his team successfully organized 3 well-attended community events this past year. And for 24-25 and exploring collaborating with supervisors from special services, world language, math, and counseling like we did in 23-24. To address the needs of not only our elementary schools, but also pre-K through 12 population. Community organization partnerships. We continue to maintain valuable partnership with organizations such as the Elks Club and the Richfield Park Library, with Assistant Superintendent Ms. Triglia serving as the district liaison. The next library, thank you, Ms. Velez, for informing us. The next library meeting is scheduled for September 11th. And also, the district has collaborating with the Chambers of Commerce and Old School Special Needs. Next meeting, the date for the next meeting is yet to be determined, but tentatively is going to be the end of September, and the focus is going to be creating a comprehensive plan for the upcoming parent guardian events.
Thank you very much. Faculty and Programs, Trustee Kraft.
Good evening. The Faculty and Programs Committee met on August 20th. President or Dr. Vespignani, Mrs. Triglia, myself, Dr. Martinez, Trustee Rodriguez, Trustee Velez, and Vice President Orth, who came for the latter portion of the meeting. Items discussed on our agenda were the staffing update for the school year. I want to thank Dr. V and his staff for making sure that our teachers are in place to start the school year. We discussed the EduStaff update. That's our outsourcing vendor for substitute teachers. Signups were placed all around town in an effort to recruit substitute teachers. 30 of our subs who were previously registered with the district are in the process of onboarding with the company. And we had 10 additional subs from another area recruited to work for us. That's great news. Dr. V shared that we have been selected by the NJDOE Special Education to be a cohort, to be analysis conducted on our special education programs to provide feedback on certain programs of our special education programming. We discussed the emergency virtual and remote instruction plan that was submitted. There were no changes made to that plan. We discussed the curriculum writing that happened over the summer, which included our new standards for ELA and math. We discussed the digital platform of Atlas, where all of our curriculum is now housed. It's aligned with grade level standards. Student learning objectives are listed for each student, and digital resources available for teachers to utilize. We discussed the planning and implementation of new staff orientation, the opening week professional development schedule for staff, faculty meeting schedules for staff in the upcoming year, administrators staff training for Strong, and a lengthy discussion about the junior senior high school cell phone change that's happening this school year. We are scheduled to meet on September 10th for our follow-up meeting.
Thank you. We can add something? Well, let me check. Are we still live, Ricardo? Are we still live? Okay, I was just checking. Yes.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to add that the committee met July 25th from 11:04 to 11:33. Thank you.
Let the record indicate that. Finance and Insurance, Trustee Orth.
The Finance Committee meeting was held on August 19th. Present were Dr. Vespignani, Ms. Triglia, Mr. Beisig, Dr. Martinez, and myself. Several key updates were provided. The Wellness Room and Performance Center at the Junior Senior High School are nearing completion, with the remaining work expected to finish by September. Broad grants for HVAC units in various school gyms are being prepared for bidding, with the possibility of work beginning before next summer. A $400,000 withdrawal from the maintenance reserve will be approved to address critical repairs, including asbestos flooring and safety issues. The year-end audit for 23-24 should have started yesterday. Additionally, the Lincoln School autism classrooms were nearly ready for final inspection, promising both in-district placements for students and a significant cost savings. The committee will meet before the next meeting.
Thank you very much. And now on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Martinez, and good evening. I'm excited to share. We are welcoming our staff back on Tuesday, September 3rd for 2 full days of professional development. I'd like to thank Ms. Triglia and our team of administrators for developing a really great slate of PD for our staff members. I think it'll be a great first 2 days as we settle into the new school year. We're also excited to welcome back our students and families on Thursday, September 5th. And a friendly reminder that the first 2 days are early dismissal days, as the afternoons are dedicated to additional staff PD, something that is new for this year. I have been touring all of our school facilities with Ms. Triglia and our operations manager, Mr. Igu, in collaboration with our building principals. All the schools are really coming along nicely. Certainly some finishing touches, but I'm confident that we're in very good shape to begin the school year. And I'd like to sincerely thank our maintenance and custodial staff for all their hard work over the summer months. It's no easy task to prepare school buildings for the launch of a new school year. So thank you for your endeavors in that. I wanted to just give a thank you to all of our supervisors and staff members who spent the summer months writing curriculum. This was really critical work and really important as we make a shift to where we are housing our curriculum. You may recall, as part of the budget, the board had approved the purchase of Atlas management system. So it's going to be a really great centralized location for all of our staff members to access the curriculum that their colleagues have spent a good amount of time over the summer months developing. I wanted to highlight that our free and reduced meal application notification was sent out to all families via school messenger. This is posted on the district website, and the link is provided in that notification that brings you directly to that section of the website. The district is now using Pay School Central for families to access the application. We do ask for patience as we roll out this new technology. Like any new technology, there are certainly some hiccups, but at present it seems to be going very smoothly. It's important to note that parents can also use this to manage their child's cafeteria balance. The schools have been sending out their welcome back newsletters. I just wanted to highlight that in the junior senior high school newsletter developed by Ms. Cavens and her team, parents and students are strongly encouraged to review the second page where there is specific information on a new cell phone and ID procedures. Some great resources in there, and I again encourage students and their families to review this in preparation for the launch of the new school year. I wanted to draw attention, as Vice President Orth had shared, as part of being the chairperson for the policy committee. On tonight's agenda, we have the first reading for the student attendance regulation. There is a significant change recommended that when a child is absent for purpose of medical reasons, the policy now reads that that would be required by way of a medical provider documentation for it to count as an excused absence towards the total count towards truancy. Student attendance is clearly critical. As they say, you have to be in it, right? You have to be present. And as we reviewed our chronic absenteeism results, it's clear that there's an urgent need to provide students with the pathway to come to school healthy and ready to learn. So I think this is the first step, and we'll be looking into some additional programs to support our students and the families to getting to school on time each day. As noted in Trustee Kraft's faculty and program and personnel report, we're continuing our partnership with EduStaff. That's been going very smoothly. They're doing a heavy amount of recruiting in the area. Our community may see the EduStaff signs around the school buildings, and I'm encouraging all families and community members, if you know someone who is interested in subbing, please encourage them to apply. It's a really exciting opportunity to further build our substitute team. I respectfully submit the HIB report as shared in executive session. There were no new HIB cases reported. And staying true to the superintendent's report section of the agenda, I'm pleased to welcome Ms. Cavens to the podium to provide a district logo presentation. This is directly connected to our district goals, which are on the agenda tonight, recommended for approval. Goal number 2 is a rebranding initiative. And the first step of that is taking a look at our district logos, some that we have in use and some that we'll be moving forward with. When I thought about this presentation, I said, who better than a graduate of the junior senior high school, a resident and the current junior senior high school principal to present a little bit about the history, and I'm certain that our board and community will really enjoy this very brief presentation, and an important one as we look to rebrand the district. So I wanted to thank Ms. Cavens for her time this evening. I know it's certainly a very busy time of year, and we're looking forward to the presentation. So we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. I just want to make sure I get this shared appropriately. It says I'm disabled. Your screen. Unless you want to open it from yours. Okay. Remove that and action. Full screen. There we go. Took a moment, but now we're here. So first of all, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to do this presentation. I'm actually very excited to share this with you. I love historical research, and I love Ridgefield Park, and I love the Scarlets, and I love doing presentations. So this is all things I love all together. So thank you. Before I begin, I would just like to extend a very heartfelt thank you to all of you on the Board of Education, and especially to our district administrative team, Dr. Vespignani, Mr. Beisig, Ms. Triglia, and of course, Mr. Agu and Carmela as well. This has been a wonderful year, this past year that we've just completed, and the things that are in progress and the things that we're working towards are unbelievably amazing. And I'm so excited that I get to be not only a part of it, but I get to be in the midst of it and making decisions and planning things that are going to be excellent for our students. So it's really been a dream, and I'm really looking forward to this school year and what's to come. So a little history for you on Ridgefield Park. History and branding. So two things I'm going to speak to you about tonight are our RP logo, which you may have seen around here and there. If any of your children went here, they were athletes, you probably are very familiar with the RP logo, and we call it the varsity letter. And then particular to the junior, senior high school, our mascot of the Scarlet Bird. So tonight I'm going to share with you some of my historical research, my evidence that I've seen over time, the evolution of our mascots and our mascot and our logo, and moving forward. So just to give you a little brief history, because I am a teacher after all. So the history of varsity letters goes all the way back to Harvard University in 1865. Harvard's baseball team was the first team to actually wear a letter H on their uniforms to signify who they were and what they represented. So from there, it evolved into a varsity letter sweater, which became the norm to wear your collegiate letter along with stripes on the sleeve to indicate how many varsity letters that one had earned. This eventually trickled down into high school, where high schools followed with Letterman sweaters, and it had the same representation. By the 1930s, we evolved from the sweaters into what we know now as the traditional varsity jacket with the leather sleeves and the boiled wool midsection that also has the varsity letter and various other notations of their athletic participation. So the stylized letter was frequently used on athletic uniforms. So there's a little nod to the 1978 yearbook there, which you will see predominantly featured in this presentation. 1978 was a big year for Ridgefield Park identity and branding. So going back to 1978, I might as well start there. So my historical research had me going not only into Ridgefield Park yearbooks. Fortunately for us, many of our yearbooks are cataloged on classmates.com, which if you have a membership to newspapers.com, you have access to. So while we do have the actual yearbooks here in the library, I was able to go through the passage of time to find much of this information. This particular next set of information I took from the 1986 Tercentennial Richfield Park historical book, the Red Book. For those of you who have been in town a long time, I'm sure you have a copy that's on your shelf somewhere, but a lot of great information here. So 1978, you can see the baseball team was wearing the interlocking Richfield Park. Again, that's not very long ago. That's only about 46 years ago. But if we go a little bit further back in time to 1928, you will see that the Richfield Park High School football team was also wearing the interlocking RP as the logo on their team sweaters. Going a little bit further back to another sport, you'll see the 1927 basketball team wearing the RP logo on their very interesting looking jersey, right? The times have changed. They were probably woven and they were probably sweater material. A little bit of interest for those of you who love RP and love history, they are standing in front of Roosevelt School. Because that was one of the locations where they were able to hold these games. Going back a little bit further in time, we have the 1918 football team. So you'll have to look, there's an arrow pointing to one of the young men in the back row. There are two of them wearing an interlocking RP logo as they participated on the Ridgefield Park football team. What I want to point out to all of you are two things of note. 1918 precedes the building of Washington High School. So this football team in Ridgefield Park, the students attended Hackensack High School, if you didn't know. And, but there was a football team in Ridgefield Park and they were rocking the RP back then. I also want to point out, again, because I love RP and I love history. So this was played on the Union Church athletic fields. A little bit of digging. The Union Church is now the Civic Center on Park Street. The field is now where houses are on Hudson Ave. So if you look in the background, that is Hudson Ave, and you may recognize those houses in the background on Hudson Ave. They may look familiar. So moving on. So this brings us to our classic red and white logo. So this is nothing new. We know from historical information that this goes back to at least 1918, if not before. There may be more information that I've yet to uncover. That's been also a side project that I've been working on as I've been uncovering these things. We have a tremendous amount of historical Ridgefield Park High School and town information located in our library that are now, they're kind of in storage. And as I've been going through, I've been very inspired by all of it. So I'm starting in our conference room in the main office block where I'm creating basically a museum to Ridgefield Park educational history. So it will start there and it will grow and eventually, you know, lead out into the hallway in the main office and then the main office itself. So people who come visit can see that we're part of something very long and historical. It didn't just happen overnight. So I want to thank Ms. Van Lenton, who was one of our graphic design teachers, for creating this updated file that we're able to use for graphic purposes because, you know, in order for things to be used appropriately on web design and also in print, you have to have a certain quality of your original file. So she has created that for us. We do have another version of it that's not on here that has a black outline. It is not to change our colors or anything like that. It's simply for certain graphic purposes. You need sort of that delineation around the logo. So just so you're, you know, so you know about that. So moving on to the Scarlet Bird mascot that is particular to this high school. So I know there might be some RP grads in the crowd tonight. So this was a really interesting walk down history. So I'm going to start by telling you again, I went through your books to see where was I going to see the first instance of a scarlet bird. What is a scarlet bird even, right? Where did that even come from? So I have some solid things to show you and I have some speculation and my educated guesses about things to fill in the blanks. So let's begin just telling you again, I'm a teacher, so I'm going to start with a little bit of background history. So school mascot origins themselves trace back to the early 20th century, and they were usually selected to symbolize some sort of quality of that the school or the team desired: strength, power, being majestic, and they selected animals typically that reflected that as well. And then they slowly became to also represent a visual representation of a school's identity and community spirit. So here, when we say it's a great day to be a Scarlet, and it's not just a fun saying, it means that every person that's in this building, student, staff member, you also wear that brand of being a Scarlet is something you can identify with and be proud of. So it really does mean a lot to belong to something. Before I move into the timeline, again, these are yearbook snippets here. So the first instance I saw of a bird, or the mention of scarlet rather, was 1930s. So the 1927 series of yearbooks, really nothing. The first mention of the word scarlet was in the 30s, and it was in a description. There were no pictures or anything like that of it. It was a description of an athletic team's particular success, and it was an editorialization, and it described this team, I believe it was the basketball team, as the Scarlet Machine. So it wasn't that the school's mascot was called the Scarlet Machine. It was saying, you know, the men in red that went out there and won these things. So going through a few decades later, there was really nothing in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, at least in the yearbook. There may have been things in the Scarlet Quill, but I have yet to uncover all of those surprises. So that brings us to 1972. And as I'm going through all of these yearbooks digitally, you know, sitting on my couch this summer, clicking and, you know, really enjoying this hunt here. The first time I saw it was in the lower left corner in the backgrounds behind that young lady. There's a bumper sticker that's plastered on a closet in a school somewhere. It might even still be there, honestly. And there is a drawn full body scarlet bird on that. And I was like, there it is. It begins. So continuing through this 1972 yearbook, I did see another one. You'll see on the right-hand side, there's this is the year of the bird, 72. They really started bringing this to light, and it carried through other yearbooks. That photo, by the way, is taken right out there above our trophy case. Then we're going to hop a little bit. The 70s were excellent for information here. So 1973, on the right-hand side, you'll see a cluster of 3 photos. You'll see in the background behind Mr. Maisano, who was the principal at the time, a little bit of a scarlet mural. You'll see it's the full body. You'll see he's wearing shoes because our bird wears shoes. On the far right, you're going to see a mural painted on the press box at the football field, AKA the pit. And then you'll see a variation of a bird head on the football player's helmet. On the left-hand side, you will see, and I have a better one in a few years that is in color, but you'll see the full bird drawn, or a variation of it that was drawn as a graphic and placed on this folder that I presume was for new students, because the back of the folder, it's very difficult to see, was a floor plan. So I would imagine back in 1974, the new students came and got their folders, and it had all of their information, had the bird on the front, and had the map on the back. So still full bird, still wearing shoes. We're going to fast forward to 1975. It's moving forward on the fencing flag. Yes, we had a fencing team at one time. It was on the fencing flag, and he's wearing work boots now. And then the young lady, the mascot, is wearing her sweater with the full bird logo on it. I think some of us that cheered in town many, many years ago may have probably worn the same sweater at one point or another. Same bird over on the megaphone with the hat and the stylized RP on the second megaphone. And then you'll see the color version of that new student folder, where it's the kind of the first appearance of this kind of more graphic looking version versus a hand drawn. And that may have just been an indication of technology. Fast forwarding to 1978, as I mentioned, big year for Richfield Park, school spirit and branding. So you'll see there's a couple of examples of spirit wear, lots of hats featuring the bird and, you know, various, you know, go RP sentiments. You'll see actually a smaller shot of the mascot that was painted on a wall somewhere. TBD where that was, I'm not entirely sure. I'd love to find out, but there it is making an appearance, and that's pretty close to what we're using today. If you look in the bottom left, that is the old field house that no longer exists. And you will see on the bottom left corner door, there is a painted scarlet bird. And then over on the right-hand bottom side, you will see that the cheerleaders also have the bird logo on their uniforms. I'm going to fast forward a little bit to the 80s. In 1984, 1988, you had some hand-drawn full-body birds, Booster Club, and a very interesting variation of the bird from the back. I had to include that. I thought that was pretty cool. Whoever drew that, you know, I bet they never would have guessed that it would make a reappearance how many years later, but I thought it was worth mentioning. Now we're going to fast forward to the 90s, and that's when I was here. And I do remember we had T-shirts. Sometimes the T-shirts were hand-drawn birds doing various things. But one of my favorite finds was the 94 yearbook, where in looking at the cheer squad, and you'll see a closer version of it, you'll see that the center court was the full bird. So that means that was here when I was here. I should have remembered that. So again, full body bird, it's the graphic that's very, very close to, if not exact to what we're using now, save for the shoe change, which I'll tell you about. 2002, you'll see the full bird on the scoring table. And then let's hop to the 2004 yearbook where the full bird, that's almost the same iteration that we've been using today, has been plastered all over this particular yearbook. So, you know, the evolution in graphic design brought this back into ease of use without having somebody do a hand-drawn version. So let's bring us to where we are now. So you might have noticed over time that, you know, there's variations in Scarlet Bird. You may have had kids that play on various sports teams and they have a certain kind of bird, and then, you know, you see a different bird on my business card, or you see a different bird here. Where did that come from? So this next part is truly my speculation and my educated guess. Okay, so you can agree, disagree, food for thought is what I will call it. So where did these extra birds come from? So to give you a little bit of historical background, so Google image search debuted in 2001. The internet was still relatively new at that time. And also, image copyright was not widely understood, right? So it was not something that people really thought about. It was like, oh, cool, I can find something other than clip art to find pictures of things. And so at that same time, various organizations, schools, universities, clubs, athletic teams were developing their own web presence and identity as well. So with this availability of graphic images on the internet, you know, quick search on this new thing called Google, if you Googled red bird logo, you would probably end up with something like this. So this is just a little snapshot of some collegiate Redbird logos that are out in the universe. There's a wide variety. They're all a little bit different. The reason for that, copyright. You'll see that the Catholic University of America is probably the one that looks most similar than to ours that we've been using, at least, you know, verifiably since the 80s and 90s, but they do not use a full body bird. I've confirmed that. Another point that I'd like to mention, you know, those of you who either grew up here or maybe you've been around here for a while, know that we used to be part of the BCSL American League for athletics, and Westwood was always part of that league, and, you know, always a big rival, is always the Battle of the Birds. And it was very clear when we were doing our, you know, preparations for games and things like that, you know, the Battle of the Birds, that was their logo. This was our logo. They were different. They were not the same. So moving forward, where did this bird come from that we have been kind of using around our on our apparel that has made its way onto certain things? Again, my speculation, but I'm pretty certain that it is from Illinois State University. So if you take a look at, this is just a snapshot of a Google image search of, his name is Reggie Redbird. He actually has a name, and he belongs to Illinois State University. And it's almost identical. And I have not seen it myself, but urban legend in this building is that various members of administration that have come before me have received cease and desist letters from Illinois State University about using that logo. So that's probably a good reason for us to embrace, right? What is it rightfully ours? So again, I don't think there was any malintent. I think it was, you know, availability of logos at the time. Another thing I'd love to mention to you in my learning journey here is that I always believed that our bird or mascot was a cardinal. And it was like we were just a different version of a cardinal. But in fact, there is a bird that exists that's called a scarlet tanager, and it is a red bird that has black outlines on the wings. And there's actually a summer tanager that is a full red bird. And fun fact, and I didn't realize this, and when I put it together, I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. This makes me such a nerd. But the red color that we've been painting upstairs and we've been putting, you know, touches in the office, the name of that paint color, Sherwin-Williams, is tanager. So who knew? It was all meant to be together. So in reality, our bird really isn't a cardinal. It's a scarlet tanager. It's a real bird. So this brings us to where we are now. Again, we have the adapted classic full bird, true to the one that was being used in the 80s and 90s, early 2000s, before the internet ones kind of got to us a little bit. You'll notice his shoe change. Maybe he's a he or she, I'm not sure, but there's a different pair of shoes on this bird. You'll notice that they're probably stylized like a very popular brand that if we did put a logo, we would definitely get sued. So he's going to stay without a logo on his shoes. And then we took this mascot and we put it as our emblem for our school seal. So I want to give a public thank you to Mr. Quintanilla for creating these files from source materials that we had over the years. So that's a little bit of a peek into our history here. One of our graphic design 3 last year had a great project where they made variations on the scarlet bird that are particular to various content areas. And one of our plans in rebranding our building and creating this excitement and feeling of belonging is having these type of things around our building associated in the various areas that they belong in. For example, the scientists, the business, the culinary. So it's fun logo and branding for us here at the junior senior high school. So that being said, you know, and a district's identity is very important. A school's identity is very important for various reasons. So, you know, in this endeavor to move forward and become unified, you know, some choices and decisions are going to have to be made to establish, you know, what the district brand kit is, and especially down to which color red, what's the hex code we're using for this when it's digital, updating the logos in various facilities and establishing our digital identity. I've been on a mission to ensure that all of our athletic teams are updated with the historical Richfield Park Scarlet and that we're uniform throughout the district. So I very much enjoyed putting together this presentation. I thank you so much for your time. I hope you found it interesting. And it is a great day, not only to be a Scarlet, but also to be a Richfield Park citizen. So thank you.
Well, first, let me be the first to say, Ms. Cavens, thank you so much for putting together this comprehensive, detailed presentation and providing all the details. You know, it was really great to learn a bit more about the history, and that really pulled it together nicely for us. You know, I think it's important to note, as Ms. Cavens had shared, you know, as we go through this rebranding as part of our district goal and starting with the logo, I think it's also important to differentiate that the district is the RP logo. The junior senior high school is the full body scarlet bird. You know, as I look around, even on our technological platforms, as an example, for those who are tuning in virtually and access board docs, you know, there we have a scarlet bird, not the full body scarlet bird, an incorrect one, but really that should be RP. It should be the RP logo because the district is RP. So, you know, this is really a critical time because we are upgrading facilities, not just here at the junior senior high school, but across the district. And it's important that, and we have an opportunity now to really rebrand, choose the appropriate color schemes, choose the appropriate logos as they fit. I mean, even in this room alone, on the podium that you're presenting it has a totally different scarlet bird and not a full body one. And again, that's to no one's fault. It's just that we've uncovered, and you would use the word belonging. And that's really important because as we build, you know, branding, identity, and a sense of belonging, you know, we want to maintain consistency. So again, thank you for this comprehensive presentation. I'm not sure if the board has any questions, comments before we let Ms. Cavens head out for the night.
I was waiting to see if Ms. Cavens got it right, and she did, so congratulations. The class of 1973 was the first class that really emphasized the scarlet bird. The picture that you showed of the woman in 1972 was taken in the school store. The school store is the little room over here, just to show you how things have changed. Immediately adjacent to the school store was the student smoking lounge. In the student store, you could buy things, and that was in 1973 when we made the big push to sell the bumper stickers, pencils, and everything else with the scarlet bird. And I will go home tonight and dig out my gym uniform that has the scarlet bird on it and try to bring it to the next meeting.
If you do, Mr. Malul, if you'd like to lend it to our growing museum of Richfield Park history, we would be honored.
I have a bunch of other things to give you as well, but I would also suggest that you contact Mr. Misano. He has a ton of information. He was not the principal here in 1973. He was the business department chairman, and he was also the baseball coach. So, or I'm sorry, the junior varsity baseball coach. Dr. Zell was the baseball coach, and he has a ton of information about the Scarlet as well.
Thank you. And I have one artifact to pass around, just, I mean, it makes a little bit of a better impact when you see it in person. So again, I've been digging through a lot of.
Thank you.
Miss
Thank you.
Ms. Cavens, can I just ask, could you share the presentation? I think,
Absolutely.
well, I know my husband will be interested to see it, but maybe we could include it in on the district webpage at some point, because I feel like you're not the only history nerd in town.
Probably not. Yeah, I'd be happy to. Absolutely. It would be my honor. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you again. And just as I conclude my superintendent's report, a friendly reminder that we have moved our central office, has relocated to 65 Challenger Suite 360. And if parents or community members wanted to pop in and say hello, and or if they needed anything, of course, we'll be happy to accommodate you. So just wanted to mention that again, we are fully settled in. It's really great to have the full central office administrative team together. It's really a benefit for district operations, and provides a really great space to support our families and students. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vespignani, and thank you, Ms. Cavens. State Monitors Report?
Yes, it's a tough a tough entertainment that just to come out there, but it was great. It's good to. I'm a history buff myself. It's good to see the people take the old history and bring it up front now. But back to business. Two issues. One is finance. I reviewed the agenda, and I reviewed the financial aspects of, and the district is in good financial position, and I definitely certify that there's enough finances available to ensure that the business, the district can meet all their financial obligations through the end of the year.
Oh,
Something different though, the second item, it has to do more with education than it does finance. I came across well, before I get that, there's been many articles in the newspaper and through media that there is a shortage of skilled laborers, and that what the unions and manufacturers are concerned about it going forward. There is an organization, it's a not-for-profit organization that I've been in touch with, along with several politicians, that their sole job is to try and teach and contact those students, specifically those students in the high school who are not going on to college, because the programs for the kids not going on to college, it's just not there like it used to be years ago. So I'm working in that direction, and this organization will send representatives to the school and even demonstrate trades, whether it be welding, electricity, and also just to teach or make the kids aware of if there are other careers, life careers out there that can work. My initial understanding is that many of the K-12 school districts have anywhere from 15 to 25% of the graduating class not going to college, because they either the family couldn't afford it because the price of going to college now is skyrocketing, or that they're not interested. But this could make available to them possibly other opportunities. as I proceed with my contact with this organization, Mr. President, I'd like to I have a suggestion, and we can talk about it later, that a special board committee should be made aware of this, or maybe even one of the current ones. But it's going to overlap a lot of the responsibilities of the individual committees. But we could talk about that later, because it's school. It's September's coming, and everybody's focused on opening school. My communication with the representative of this company, we're shooting for like October or November to try and get this off the ground. So I'll be in touch more with that.
That sounds great, Mr. Egan. Just a quick question. I'm sure we could have the individual come into our faculty and programs subcommittee.
Whatever you decide.
Do you have any sense of whether the state is loosening up some funds earmarked for, alternative to college career readiness?
I'm going down to a finance meeting called for by the current acting commissioner. Maybe I can give more detailed information at that time. But right now, this organization, this not-for-profit organization, it won't cost the district anything. They're paying for everything, and the money is coming from manufacturing companies. And I was very, very surprised. I don't know. I was told, how many manufacturing companies do you think that are here in the state of New Jersey? And the answer, what they told me was almost 10,000. And that took me back a little bit. So there must be smaller companies too, but and majority, so I was told, the majority of those companies are in Bergen and Essex counties. So the opportunities are going to be there. I know my area of responsibility and the superiors down there in Trenton are very excited about this, and so are Bergen County and Essex County superintendents. So it seems we got a lot of support, and obviously, hopefully we get the right information and we give the information to you guys.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Egan. Looking forward to that information. It has been a past board goal to increase those alternatives to college careers. So looking forward to hearing more about that.
Excellent.
Thank you. We will now listen to citizens' comments on agenda. Do we have anyone to elevate? Another 10 seconds. Okay, I guess we will close citizens' comments on agenda and we'll move to our agenda items. Trustee Orth, can you please move policy and regulations 901 and 902?
So moved 901 and 902.
I'll second.
Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Cooney,
Yes.
Ms. Kraft,
Yes.
Ms. McNeil,
Yes.
Mr. Malou,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Velez,
Yes.
Ms. Orth,
Yes.
President Martinez.
Yes, and the resolutions pass. Trustee Kraft, can you please move faculty and programs?
Sure, I'll make a motion to move FP 1001 to FP 1009.
Second.
Do we have any questions or comments?
I just have a question on FB 1009. Are they going to pay any use of facility fees?
I'm sorry, which one are you talking about? That was pulled. That agenda item was pulled. Are you looking from the live agenda or your notes? That was,
1009 is pulled?
well, 1009 on your page is pulled, yes. Up for further discussion. Yes. Do you have any other questions or comments? I would just like to thank the All School Special Needs Organization for the $6,000 donation for the Meadowlands Environmental Center for the ESY program, and also the Richfield Park Chamber of Commerce for donating various school supplies to Grant, Lincoln, Roosevelt, and the junior senior high school. Thank you very much. Can I please have a roll call?
Mr. Cooney,
Yes.
Ms. Kraft,
Yes.
Ms. McNeil,
Yes.
Mr. Malou,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Velez,
Yes.
Ms. Orth,
Yes.
President Martinez.
Yes, the resolutions pass. We do not have any buildings and grounds to move. Trustee McNeil, can you please move finance and insurance 1201 to 1204?
I move 1201 to 1245.
Second.
Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Cooney,
Yes.
Ms. Kraft,
Yes.
Ms. McNeil,
Yes.
Mr. Malou,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Yes to all, but I abstain on 1201.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Velez,
Yes.
Ms. Orth,
Yes.
President Martinez.
Yes, and the resolutions pass. Trustee Velez, would you please move personnel, including new business?
I so move personnel 1401 to 1431.
Second.
Sorry, do we have any questions or comments? Seeing none, can I have a roll call?
Mr. Cooney,
Yes.
Ms. Kraft,
Yes.
Ms. McNeil,
Yes.
Mr. Malou,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes to all. I abstain from 14.16 through 14.24.
Ms. Velez,
Yes.
Ms. Orth,
Yes.
President Martinez.
Yes, and the resolutions pass. Consent agenda. Trustee Orth, can you please move consent agenda 1301?
I so move 1301.
Second. Yep. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, can I have a roll call?
Mr. Cooney,
Yes.
Ms. Kraft,
Yes.
Ms. McNeil,
Yes.
Mr. Malou,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Velez,
Yes.
Ms. Orth,
Yes.
President Martinez.
Yes, and the resolutions pass. I'd like to, before we move on to citizens' comments off agenda, I'd like to. I'm sorry, can you please read new business? Could you please move? Yes.
I so move new business 1701 to 1705.
Second.
Seventeen oh one to 1704.
S- 1701 to 1704. Oh, 5, okay.
I'll second again.
Any questions or comments on new business? Seeing none, can I have a roll call on new business?
Mr. Cooney,
Yes.
Ms. Kraft,
Yes.
Ms. McNeil,
Yes.
Mr. Malou,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Velez,
Yes.
Ms. Orth,
Yes.
President Martinez.
Yes, and the resolutions pass. Before we move on to citizens' comments off agenda, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all of our new teachers, aides, and support staff members across the district. I have no doubt that you'll find the children and parents of this district, as well as your coworkers, to be amazing people worthy of your time, your efforts, your skill, and more importantly, your care. I'd also like to extend the board's gratitude to Barbara Johnson, Kimberly Yarnold, Patricia Abreu, Suzanne Almeida, and Mr. Daglitz for their service to the children of Richfield Park. Good luck and many blessings in all your next endeavors. We will now listen to citizens' comments off agenda. Do we have anyone to elevate? No one to elevate? Okay, I guess I will close citizens' comments off agenda. May I please have a motion to close the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Malul and Kraft. All right, have a good night, everybody. Good luck this year.